application to the Mauer Mountain, you said?
Yes, they've postponed Mauer Mountain.
And doing what?
They're now in each country, they've got prizes, and first prize is 2,500, second is 1,500, and third is 1,000. Then the next 5 people can earn, I think it's 500, and then the next 10 people can get a voucher for $200 worth of Sizzle products. Now that's in each country. Now it goes till the 30th of June. And it's started, I think, about in January. Did Mauer Mountain start January?
I don't know. I haven't
for promoting it for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, as I was saying to Valley, I do have a testimony that I could give to everybody about achieving these sort of things. And if you would like to include that in at some stage, I'm happy to do so, whether it be next week or whatever. All right.
Or right now.
Oh, well, whenever. Do you want me to do it right now?
No, because let's let a few more people get on.
Yes.
We don't want to waste
Yes.
your expertise without people hearing it.
Okay, well, when you start the thingy, Bobby, the presentation, we'll go for it. So what is the time? We're 2 minutes past anyway.
Yeah, but usually we have a lot more people on. So for some reason we're on 5 minutes after is the time to get started for some reason. But as you guys can hear, we are an international company, and we've got people from Australia, Canada. We've got people in almost all of Europe, Taiwan, Puerto Rico, Japan, Australia, New Zealand. I don't know what I'm forgetting, but and then we're even in countries that we're not open in. We've got people making pretty darn good money in countries that we're not open in, like South Africa, Jamaica, Dubai, China. I mean, Russia. There's people smuggling products over the border into Russia to get those people their products. But there's people in Russia making money in this, but they're signed up with a Eastern European address, like in Slovakia or somewhere, I don't know where, but I forget all the names of those countries over there. But there's a lot of people signed up. We got a guy in Trinidad that signed up in Florida, because that's a country that we're open in, obviously the United States, but he's making money, getting people in the United States and in Europe and places, and he's in Trinidad. So I'm just kind of talking while we're waiting for people to come on, but we're at 42 now, so I think we'll get started in just 1 minute. But why don't we, in 1 minute, we'll have you, Jenny, give your testimonial.
That's okay, Steve.
Okay, so if we can mute everybody, Val, even you included, Darren, whoever's not muted. Can't tell. Yeah, that's good. Looks like Darren just has a camera. I don't know what that means. All right, well, let's get started. My name is Steve Farr. This is a Sizzle International presentation, and this is Valley Cleal's call. She's the host of the call, but I'm the guest speaker. We're going to be talking about products tonight. And but to begin with, I'm going to mute, and we're going to have Valley give a little testimonial on basically being a leader and what it takes to get to win some of these things that she's won. Go ahead, Val, or Jenny.
Okay, Steve, thank you. I saw this morning that I got an email, and it's via a YouTube channel, and it's an announcement for the things that are happening with Sizzle for this week. And they've announced that they are not having Mauer Mountain, of course. They've postponed that. And in place of that, the points that people have already earned towards Mauer Mountain are now going towards prizes that they're putting out for every country. So the leaders of each country are able to win these monetary prizes. The first prize for the leader in each country is $2,500. Second is $1,500, and third is $1,000. Now, the next 5 place getters are going to get a $500 prize, and then the next 10 people are going to get a $200 voucher to be spent on product of their choice. Now, this brought to mind something that happened to me when I first joined. We in Australia had no idea what we were in. We didn't know who our leaders were. We didn't know anything. We just saw that the products were good, and yes, we wanted to be part of the company. Anyway, so I got stuck into it. I joined on the 28th of March, and unbeknownst to me, there was a competition in progress, and it had started in January. And so the first month I got stuck into it, and I really sponsored hard. And when in those days we used to get paid weekly, our fast start bonuses, and monthly, our residual income. And I go into my back office after my first month on the 15th of the first month, and I see an extra $1,000 sitting there. And I thought, what's this? This is a surprise. What is it? And then I see written beside it, first prize in recruiting in the world. So then I thought, what's this? So I looked into it, and I saw that it was a free trip to Hungary that was being announced. And so I thought, well, I'll have a go at this, but there's no hope of winning it, because they used to put the leaderboard up in no order. No leaders, whatever, it was just everybody that had was qualifying. And so I thought, oh, little old Jenny here in Australia, 3 months in, no hope of winning anything like this, but I still kept going. So the second month I got second in the world, and the third month I got third in the world. So I still didn't take any notice, because there were about 150 leaders that were put into this list. And so one morning at 7 o'clock, I get a phone call from corporate to say that I had won a trip to Hungary, all expenses paid. Now, if you knew who I was and where I was from, little old Jenny, dairy farmer's wife, up to 4th year education at secondary school, farmer's wife, just loved what I did. That really knocked the socks off me. And it proved to me that if there is something that you really want to aim for, you can get it. And the reason why I'm saying this to you all is that it is virtually the end of March, early April, and this competition goes to the end of June. And so you all have a chance to be a winner in this competition. But the main thing also to remember is, I always think of, if you aim for the stars, and you only reach the sun, you are better off anyway, or you reach the moon. And likewise with Sizzle, this is going to help build our businesses so very large that the residual incomes and the bonuses we get along the way of this exciting competition is going to set your teams up for success into the future. And so I suggest to all of us, let's go for it and aim towards being a winner. But it doesn't matter. If you can't get to the top, it means that you are better off than you were as you started. So with that, I'll leave it with you, Steve.
Thank you. Let me expound on that. The best thing about Jenny, by the way, is that she's in my downline. Okay, so let me go one step further. So I had a guy that I said, it's better to aim for the stars, and if you miss, that's you still tried, and you're going to get yourself somewhere. And he came back and said, yeah, it's better than shooting for a pile of manure and hitting it dead on. So we want to aim high. I remember I did a training at Sizzle at the corporate offices, and we had all these people in there, and I was the speaker in one of these training modules. And I asked everybody, what's your goal? Financially speaking, what's your goal? How much do you want to make a month? The highest person in the room was $5,000 a month. Most of them were $500 or $1,000 or $1,500 they wanted to make extra a month. And I said, are you kidding me? I said, you guys are aiming for a pile of manure, and that's not what what we're here for. Let's lift those goals up. So one of the first things I did was this exercise to get people to really look to the stars instead of such, low goals. We want to make goals lofty. And remember, you want to write your goals down, because a goal that is not written is only a dream. Okay, so let me tell you one more story about that. There was somebody, I have this couple now in my downline, but this this husband, I talked to this husband, and he said, my wife's a real go-getter when she wants to be. And he said, but most of the time she doesn't want to be. And I said, expand on that. And he said, well, she's an insurance salesman, and she makes about $4,000 a month, whatever it is. I can't remember. And he said, and then all of a sudden they had this contest. And the contest was the top salesman in their office would win a cruise, all expenses paid cruise, just like Jenny's trip to Hungary. And so she went to town. She worked her heart out and she won. And her husband went on this cruise. But the big deal is she made $18,000 that month in commissions for all the work that she put in to win the cruise. Well, after they went on the cruise, she went back to work and she made her $3,000 to $4,000 a month again. And the husband said, honey, I'll give you a prize of a cruise every single dang month if you can make us $18,000 a month every month. So the thing is she only went to work because of that contest. Kind of something to think about, that when there's a contest or a challenge or an initiative like we have right now, there's the initiative to get 20, for the leaders anyway, to get 20 people in the year 2020. So where are we? We're about a third of the way into the year here, but you have a whole 2/3 of the way to go to get your 20 people. So just think, there's going to be some prizes and stuff like that, but I think we're going to be able to eat dinner with a billionaire at Tom's house and all that stuff, the people that do that. And it's called the 2020 group, 20 people that you signed up in the year 2020. But anyway, it doesn't matter if you have dinner with a billionaire or what it is, it's being on that list of somebody that actually accomplished it. So anytime I've asked my people to do anything, I actually do it myself, because I'm going to lead by example. I'm not going to ask you guys to do anything that I'm not going to do. And that kind of pushes me. I go, okay, to my wife, I go, now I got to do this, because I just challenged everybody else to do it. And I don't want to have everybody go to the dinner with a billionaire and have me not be there. So that's how you motivate yourself, is just kind of make some goals and shoot for the stars and try to win a contest, whether you come in first, second, third, or you don't place at all. It doesn't matter. You're well better off than you were before. Okay. So tonight is about product. So let's get into that. I see we have a pretty good list of people here. Let me just do an inventory check here before we go on. I just wanted to make sure Kelton was here. He's my guy that I'm most concerned about, Kelton Hendricks. By the way, Kelton Hendricks, if I tell the story right, he's in my downline front line to me that I personally signed up. And in his first multi-level experience, he was told, you come into their company for $5,000. If you're not muted, can you guys mute yourselves? Let's see, might even be Kelton. Anyway, appreciate it. But Kelton, I'll try to retell this story, but he was approached by somebody and they said, you need to come into this company. He says, how much is it? And they said, $5,000. And he said, $5,000, it might as well be $1 million. I don't have $5,000. And the guy said, well, that's the very reason why you need to go get $5,000, because if you don't have it, we can help you make it. Well, he figured it out and came in. And in that company, if I'm not mistaken, I could be misquoting, but I believe that Kelton made $32,500 his first month. Okay, so he's an absolute superstar, and we're really good friends. But we also have Mark on the call tonight, who's going to be our new business partner tomorrow. Who is not? I got to figure out who's not muted. You guys need to mute yourself. Who is that? Looks like everybody. All right. Okay. So like I said, my name's Steve Farr. This is a Sizzle International presentation, training call, however you want to call it. And tonight's on product. We're going to kind of leave some things out tonight and throw some things in. And just before I start, I know there's a lot of people. I've had almost 10 people last night and today email me, text me, call me, whatever, telling me what to put in, what not to put in, how to talk, how not to talk, whatever. I'm going to invite you guys that are the biggest critics to sign up to do a night on this webinar yourself. because it's tough enough to do. For me, I'll just be honest with you, I'm not the best presenter, the best speaker. I'm not the best looking guy in the world or anything like that. I'm just an everyday average Joe, but it's kind of hard. In fact, some of the people are requesting the opposite of what other people are requesting. So I can't satisfy everybody. I apologize, but we're going to just get through this how I do it, and hopefully we can satisfy a lot of people with that. But let me get rid of that thing. Okay, let me get my pointer here, and we'll get moving. Okay, so saddle up. We're going to fly through this. For you guys that haven't met me, Mark, or any of you guys, this is what I look like. Just so you know, I'm an average guy, nothing special about me. I don't see a cape behind me, or there's no S tattooed to my chest or anything. So I'm just a regular, everyday, average guy. This is my wife, Tammy. She's by far the better half of me, right, Valley? Valley met her in Hawaii. Phenomenal person. I'm a little bit kind of rough around the edges, to be honest. But anyway, so let's talk about Sizzle and the product line of Sizzle. Okay, unlike most any other company out there, and I'm talking about the biggest of the biggest, and let me say, Nu Skin and these big companies like that, they do not manufacture their own products. We at Sizzle actually do manufacture all of our products. Okay, we spent upwards of $250 million just to build this plant. It's 440,000 square feet, and it was paid cash for. It's the latest, newest science in, the latest, newest, fastest machinery. We have stuff in here that not any other plant in the world has. I mean, there's proprietary ways of making coffee and of sloughing off the volatiles of our protein, which I'll talk about in a minute. There's a spray drying machine that's $3.5 million of solid stainless steel. That's the largest and most unique of its kind, the most expensive by far. But that's our spray drying machine that was custom made for this plant. We've got, I think there's 8 5,500 gallon vats in this plant. So 8 5,500 gallon mixers where the blade, think of your blender that you make smoothies in. The blade in these 5,500 gallon vats go all the way from the bottom to the top and then back down. The side walls of the vats are solid stainless steel, but they're double walled because there's liquid nitrogen that's in between those two walls. Because we had a company that came in called, I can say it now, MonaV, actually the fastest growing multi-level company in history. We manufactured every single product that they ever produced, okay, right here in this plant. But they had a product that we were experimenting with, and the product was sitting in one of these vats that was to be mixed, and they kept changing the formula and doing things, and it kind of started to degrade and kind of went bad. So Tom went in and spent, quite a bit of money. I'm not going to tell you how much, but quite a bit of money to double wall those mixers. And so he could put liquid nitrogen in between. Now they're, instead of just a mixer, it's a refrigerated mixer. You can put ingredient in there and lower the temperature down to a refrigerator type temperature, and you can hold those ingredients in there so they don't go bad. So, I mean, just the most state-of-the-art, the most ingenious thinking to get this plant to be the most sophisticated, most efficient plant in the world of its kind. It's the largest by far, but it's just absolutely magnificent. And not only do we make all of our own products, but we make the products for about 150 other companies. And I'm talking about big companies. I actually signed a document that disallows me from mentioning, any companies like Nu Skin and Young Living and people that we make products for. So I can't tell you those companies anyway, but think of this. We make the products for 150 other companies, and the owner doesn't take a paycheck, doesn't get paid, and doesn't take profit from those companies. We take that money and we put it into research and development to develop the best products in the world for our distributors. Okay, so also, I'm not going to talk about the other land we have and stuff like that. We'll just go on into the products. Here's some of the certifications that we've got. I took this right off of the website for Supernaturals, which is the name of our manufacturing plant. Just to name a few: FDA registered, kosher certified, USDA organic certified, HEPA filtration approved. We're the only approved manufacturer in the state of Utah to make CBD oil products, GMP I think I always say practice, but I know that P stands for something else. Good manufacturing practice, compliant, all these wonderful things. But anyway, it's top notch. It's a pharmaceutical, nutraceutical, home care, personal care, and dental care manufacturing plant. Okay, we can do laundry detergents, we can do toothpaste, we can do coffee, we can do protein, we can do any vitamin and nutrient, we can do liquid nutritionals, we can even do stuff in here that we can't sell in the United States, like sunscreen and things of that nature. It has to be FDA approved and things, and we sell it in Japan through our distributors and our partners in Japan and stuff like that. But we manufacture anything and everything in this plant. There's nothing we can't do. Okay, nothing made in China here, people. But Sizzle's the most unbelievable manufacturing facility in the world. Okay, so let's talk about toothpaste really quick. I actually took this out, but I got 2 texts from people. Please do not leave the toothpaste out. All right, I'll put it in. Hopefully everybody brushes their teeth. It's something that the world does. People, brush their teeth, do laundry, wash dishes, drink coffee, try to lose weight. There's a lot of things that we sell that people do. And this is the world's best toothpaste. And I'll tell you a few of the reasons why. One of the reasons is there's no harmful ingredients in it. You won't find on our toothpaste tube called poison control if you swallow any amount of this toothpaste. But rather we say Sizzle Safe approved. Okay, so just so you know, there's sodium lauryl sulfate and fluoride that's in your toothpaste from the grocery store and even other multi-level companies, to where it says call poison control if you swallow any amount of this toothpaste. And there's warnings to say, people under 6, meaning children, aren't supposed to use this toothpaste because it's toxic. Okay, so we don't have any toxic ingredients in our products, but there's a few other companies that don't as well. The difference between ours and theirs is they don't have any ingredients to make up for what the fluoride did. Fluoride is very toxic for you and very bad for you, but it also is good for you in the sense that it actually has been proven to prevent tooth decay. Okay, so it's very good at strengthening the enamel and preventing tooth decay. But we have an ingredient in there that's better at preventing tooth decay, kills the bacteria that causes tooth decay, eradicates biofilm, kills viruses, E. coli, bacteria, salmonella, giardia, mold on contact 100%, heals the gums. But again, fluoride does not eradicate biofilm. Our ingredient does. Fluoride does not whiten the teeth. Our ingredient does. Fluoride does rebuild and remineralize or somewhat strengthens the enamel, doesn't remineralize it, but ours does. Fluoride does not prevent unhealth, or it doesn't help with healthy gums. Ours does. Okay, but again, our ingredient does not have any side effects. Fluoride does. Okay, and let me just tell you a few of those things. Cancer causing, endocrine disrupting, estrogen mimicking, denaturing of proteins, okay, that develop the eyesight in the central nervous system. That's what fluoride does. In fact, there's articles after articles after articles after articles lowering your IQ. Fluoride is absolutely ridiculous for the side effects that it has. Okay, it's way more dangerous than ibuprofen, and ibuprofen has over 450 different side effects in ibuprofen. Okay, there's a reason why I've never used ibuprofen in my life and never will. So people, think about what you're doing. I was on the phone with one of my partners today, and he's on blood thinners. He's on an AFib medication. He's on this medication, that medication. Guys, I'm not on any medication. And one of the things about medication, just to talk to you, I'm going to talk to you about a lot of side things today, but medication prescribed and used correctly is the #2 killer in the United States. Okay. One of the most detrimental drugs that you take is the most commonly prescribed drug in the world. It's the #1 prescribed drug in the world, and it's Lipitor. Okay, it brings the HDL down and the LDL down when you don't want to bring the HDL down. The HDL, just so you know, I went to a medical symposium for 2 days and learned about this, but I already knew about it anyway. HDL, you want to be as high as you can possibly get it, because that literally controls the LDL. Think of the HDL as healthy and the LDL as lousy. Okay, so HDL is good. You want that to be high, but Lipitor or statins, which is lowers your cholesterol levels, it lowers them both down. You do not want to lower the HDL down. Okay, so it's actually more detrimental to take that drug than it is to help. But that's what doctors do. They mask things and they prescribe things that they learned in medical school, and it's all about that Band-Aid instead of fixing the problem. Okay, so we have products that lower the blood or thin the blood and lower the blood pressure. Fucoidan. Okay, there's an ingredient in our Stemolytic product that lowers the blood pressure as well. Okay, so, but it does it naturally. It's not a drug. There's no side effects to it. It's a whole food. We won't talk about fucoidan today, but the fact of the matter is it has every nutrient in it to sustain life, every nutrient, glyconutrients, phytonutrients, sterols, chlorophyll, all the vitamins, the minerals, and the omegas, the polysaccharides, the essential amino acids, everything you need to sustain life is in that food that comes from seaweed. Okay, and that's not even why we made it. It's not why we brought it here. But let's go back to the toothpaste. Okay, I'm getting sidetracked. Okay, this toothpaste is the best toothpaste because it does what it's designed to do, but there's no harmful ingredients or any side effects that come with it. Okay, so that's one of the things. But remember, on your toothpaste tube, it says call poison control if you swallow the toothpaste. People tell me all the time, well, Steve, I don't typically swallow my toothpaste. And I said, well, if you did ours, you'd be healthier if you did than if you didn't. But okay, let's say you don't swallow your toothpaste. This is super important to educate the world that you absorb 250 times more in your mouth than if you did swallow it. That's called sublingual absorption. You're sublingually absorbing fluoride, that's a toxin and a poison, and sodium lauryl sulfate, that's a poison. Okay, that's called, the medical term's transmucosal absorption, the one I like. But most people know it as sublingually absorbing those ingredients, okay? 250 times more if you don't. So you're getting major health defects in your body by brushing your teeth every day. So we have a better toothpaste. There's not even a comparison, okay? So don't brush your teeth with poison. Brush your teeth with a product that's going to work better and have no harmful ingredients in it. Same with our Terminator, has the same ingredients that kill bacteria, salmonella, viruses. Remember, we got a virus pandemic going on right now. Not only that, but my business partner, Mark, taught me today that we have an economic pandemic. I mean, I kind of already knew that, but that's a good way to say it. We have an epidemic or an economic pandemic. It's a mouthful and I'm not very good at speaking, but think about that. We have the solution to people's pain. We've got the ability to make money 2 to 3, 4 times more than any company out there that's in the direct selling or in the multi-level arena or in the home-based business arena. We pay more than anybody else out there. We're actually ranked as the #1 company in the world by a company that's the largest in the world at publications to the world. They have millions and millions and millions of subscribers worldwide. Okay, they ranked us as the #1 opportunity. They said because of, I'll mention a couple things, because of our product line was the best, they said, in the world, and our pay was higher than anybody else's in the world. Okay, that's pretty important to me. All right, so this Terminator mouth rinse was built to kill the viruses and the bacteria in your mouth, 100% on contact, eradicate biofilm, get your gums to heal, and guess what you can use it for? This pandemic that's going around. Okay, not only can you disinfect your mouth perfectly, and it's good for you, you can use it to spray down the countertops and your desktop and your cutting boards and your handles on the doors and your phones and whatnot. Okay, when I was in microbiology, an advanced microbiology course in college, we had an experiment where we'd go around the school and we took like taking a DNA test inside your mouth or whatever. We'd take these swabs and we'd take little swabs of everything. So we went into the cafeteria and we took swabs of the silverware that was in the little containers that when you get your tray and you go to get your food in the cafeteria, you take your fork and spoon out of there. I took a swab of that and I put it in a Petri dish and we put it in an incubator. I took a swab of the toilet in the bathroom. I took a swab of the floor. I took a swab of all over the place. Guess what was the very worst thing? Well, to be honest, what was the best thing, which is surprising, was the silverware in the cafeteria. The silverware was the cleanest thing. Nothing grew at all. in the petri dish when I took a swab of the forks and spoons in the cafeteria. But guess what was the worst? This is going to date me a little bit, but I took a swab of the payphone. I'll bet you half the people on this on this call don't even know what a payphone is because of cell phones. But the petri dish not only grew stuff in it, but it lifted the lid off of the petri dish about 6 inches high in the incubator. It was literally growing. It looked like hair that you'd pull out of the drain of your shower after 10 years. That's what it looked like. It was growing off of the petri dish in that incubator. That came off of the phone swab that I took of the payphone. Okay. Well, you can spray this in a spray applicator. In fact, we've got people that are putting this into the nasal sprays and snorted it into their lungs because of black mold infection or lung infection, either bacterial or viral. Okay, this will kill bacteria and viruses 100% on contact. Doesn't matter what the virus is. Doesn't matter if it's 3 different strains or if it has mutated. Doesn't care. It kills it all 100% on contact. Clinically proven. Okay, and it's actually safe and good for human cells. Okay, so let's talk about coffee is another thing that I was going to take out, but I do this all week long, so I didn't want to do it on my product night, but let's do it anyway. Coffee is a product that you can make a lot of money on. But if you sell regular coffee like everybody else, coffee's not good for you. Every other company in multi-level sells a regular, cheap, low quality coffee. It's bitter, so why do you put sugar and cream in your coffee? Because it's bitter. Why does it taste burnt? Well, because they roast their coffee. When you roast coffee with fire, it's called dry roasting, it burns a lot of the coffee because coffee's not all done at the same time. Just like popcorn, you got popcorn that pops right away and you got popcorn that 5 minutes later it's still popping. And so you're overcooking some of the popcorn. Well, in coffee sense, you're over roasting some of the coffee beans. They get burnt. It's actually creating a chemical called acrylamides. Proposition 65, if you go into our back office and look up coffee, it tells you Proposition 65 says that your coffee causes cancer, birth defects, and it harms the reproduction system in both men and women. That's a law in California, Proposition 65, that they have to warn of all coffee sales there. We don't have acrylamides in our coffee. Just acrylamide chemical alone in everybody else's coffee is causing birth defects and cancer. Ours does not have that present. So we take the bad things out of our coffee and we put good things in it. And I'll go over that in a second. But 85% of the world drinks coffee. It's the second most consumed liquid after water. And it's the second most traded commodity after oil in the futures market. It's a $250 billion a year industry. So Warren Buffett said, if the world does it, make it your business. So I was going to write a book at one time. I was kind of tempted to write a book on how to tap into trillions. Well, coffee just in that one arena is $250 billion industry annually. So what I meant by writing a book about how to tap into trillions is how you can get an industry that's doing 250 billion and how you can make a little bit of that money. Okay, and I make a lot from the coffee industry, and I'll be honest with you guys, I don't even personally drink coffee. Neither does my business partner, Kelton Hendricks. Okay, so we're going to make a lot of money off of coffee because it's what the world does. But when you see somebody drinking coffee, you say, if you're going to drink coffee, you might as well drink a healthy coffee. But guess what you don't do to our coffee? You don't put cream and sugar in it because it's not bitter. It's not burnt. It is a super robust, in fact, it's the best tasting coffee in the world 13 years in a row through the tasters competitions. Okay, and in this thing for you guys that are on the phone, it says, I'll take my coffee healthy, please. It's the healthiest coffee in the world and it's the best tasting coffee in the world. If we had the healthiest coffee in the world and it tasted like mud, we wouldn't have a very good selling product because taste is very important to people. So I figured out 2 reasons why people drink coffee. 1, it's a habit, and 2, it's addicting. So if they're going to do it on their daily regimen, why not drink the healthiest, best tasting coffee? And guess what? They'll never give it up. My friend Tony on here on the call tonight, he ran out of coffee after he signed up, and he bought 5 or 6 boxes of coffee after that because he said, I never want to do that again because it is literally that good of a product. Tony drinks his coffee every single day. So that's what we have worldwide, a product that nobody will want to have off their shelf and run out of. So they keep ordering it. And guess what? You get paid if they're in your downline or on your team every single time that they drink that coffee. Okay. So a phenomenal, phenomenal product. But we take the bad things out of coffee that's negative, that causes adrenal failure, kidney problems, issues throughout the body. I mean, coffee is not good for you. There's another multi-level company that I'm not going to mention that said they had a healthy coffee. I know of a person's wife that she had to go into the hospital and she had adrenal failure and kidney issues, and the doctor said, you're consuming too much coffee. And so that coffee wasn't good for you. And they said it was a healthy coffee, but it still had the tannins, the alkaloids, the acrylamides, and the acid and all the garbage that's in coffee. We do not. Okay. I don't know what that arrow is doing there. Is that something that was there and I just have never seen it? Anyway, let's move along here. So this is stuff we put into our coffee to make it really robust and healthy. Doesn't change the taste of the award-winning coffee, but it gives you better health. Yeah, that arrow is not. Somebody sent me something to where they said that Zoom was having problems with people screwing around with the deal with the thing, and they can draw things where you don't have any control over it. Well, that's maybe what's going on here with this arrow. We've had that a couple of times before. We'll just deal with it. Okay, Gotu-Kola. We spray dry it, we micro grind it, and we put it in the coffee. It's good for your brain and for the circulatory system. Organic Ganoderma, it's good in many ways for longevity. Bacopa, we actually derive a single molecule extraction out of this Bacopa, making it Bacobicides, and we put this into our coffee. It's good for the brain, the central nervous system, the circulatory system, healing the DNA, and a lot of many other great benefits. Okay, and chaga, the king of all herbs, the healthiest of all herbs, is great for giving you superoxide dismutase. Your body naturally produces that, so you don't need to get it from foods. But after the age of 25, you start producing less and less and less. And when you're producing less, you need to get more of it into your body. We have hydrogen that gives you more production of superoxide dismutase, or gets the body to produce more and synthesize more than normal. And it actually regulates the superoxide dismutase, catalase, and glutathione. But this chaga actually has superoxide dismutase in it, and it's super, super high quality, and it's in a very high quantity. What I mean by that is for every gram of chaga, the Siberian chaga and north of the Arctic Circle is 30,000 units. And then we have 10 times the concentrate in our product. So we have it in our coffee. We have it in our unbelievable award-winning tea. This is premium Japanese organic micronized sencha green tea. It's the best tasting and healthiest green tea in the world. And we inject into it chaga, Bacobicides, and Gotu-Kola. We do not put the organic Ganoderma mushroom in here, but we do the other three. So not only do we start with the healthiest, best tasting green tea in the world out of Japan, it's a premium micronized sencha green tea that helps with a lot of different functions, but we add things into it to make it even better. I wonder if I can get rid of that thing. Let's see. Nope. Okay, so this is something I promised you I'd put in last night, and I forgot. Again, I was busy right up till the time. Tonight as well, I was on the phone with Jeannie right up till 1 minute before the dang call started. But anyway, so this is our Brain Vitality product. I'm going to go over this a little bit, which is one that I don't typically go over much, but it's my second favorite product, which is actually behind my two favorite products are fucoidan and hydrogen water. And then this is second place. So it's actually my third favorite product because the first two are tied. But Brain Vitality, okay? I've seen brain products my whole life, and all they are synthetic vitamins. Okay, the cheapest, lowest grade garbage vitamins that you got in there, and they say it's a brain product. And I'm like, seriously? You know, I mean, I just mentioned several things that are good for your brain, the Gotu-Kola and Bacobicides. That's never been in anybody's product. But this product, the first ingredient, I'm going to just talk about the first ingredient alone, not to mention the supporting cast of ingredients that make it so unbelievable. But if you want to stop Alzheimer's and reverse it, this is the product. If you want to stop dementia and reverse it, this is the product. Okay. Everybody over the age of 50 has a form of dementia. That's my group of age. Okay. They say that most people over the age of 40 have some form of dementia. Not all, but most. Okay. Dementia starts setting in around the age of 35. Okay. And so if you want to stop it and reverse it, this is the product. If you don't want to get a stroke, then you need to be on this product every single day. If you want to improve your cognitivity, your short-term, long-term memory, this product does that. If you have a child that's an average student and you want to get them to an above average student, this is the product. Okay. If you have a below average student, you can take this product and give it to them and they'll become an average student. I've got college students that use this product while they're in their finals. I have daughters that have been in college and sons-in-law. I've got a son-in-law right now in law school. And this is a great product when you're in your finals and you got to remember stuff and you're staying up really late hours and you've got to have recall on that memory. This product's ridiculously good for college students. Okay. The more you exercise your mind, the better it gets, just like your muscles. The more senses you use, this taps into all the senses. The more senses you use, the more you're going to remember it. So when I was in medical school, I would literally, when I was taking notes, I would go home and rewrite those notes and I would write it. That's using feel or sense of touch. When I was writing it, I'm seeing it. So there's my sight sensory. And then I was saying it out loud. So there's my voice. And then I'm hearing it because I'm saying it and hearing it at the same time. So now my ears are, that sensory is being utilized. So the more senses you use, the easier it is to remember something. And so I used to just use all the senses that I could when I was studying. And then I'd go in there and do a lot better on my tests. Okay. But this taps into every single sensory. It gets, let me go over a couple of things. It creates and develops more dopamine. Let me just talk about that for a second. When you are past the age of 25, you start producing less and less and less of everything that's good. Okay, so synovial fluid in your joints, which is the lubrication and shock absorbing factor in your joints to keep bone off of bone and keeps the cartilage healthy. Okay, you produce less and less of that. Okay, you produce less of testosterone for males. You produce less of the sirtuin gene, which is that youth gene. Okay, we just produce less and less of the enzymes that we need, the superoxide dismutase, catalase, glutathione. You produce less of all these different things. And so we have products to get the body in its older age, because remember, our nutrition line is all about anti-aging. And one of the things about anti-aging is producing things that aren't producing anymore. Synovial fluid. Okay, but this is one that produces dopamine. Dopamine is a chemical that the brain produces. And if you're not producing dopamine, or if you have a leaky dopamine where it's leaking out of the brain, you get a disease called Parkinson's. It's what my mom died of. Age 73, she died of Parkinson's. She had it from the age of 35 on, died at 73 years old. Okay, so one thing about this testimonial I'm going to tell you, she was in a nursing home and she lost her voice from Parkinson's. She could just mouth it, but there was no vocal cords or anything that were working. And so I started noticing her deterioration very quickly. And so I brought her in the Triangle of Life and the Brain Vitality. And I asked the nurses if they would administer these nutrients to my mom. And they said, yeah, no problem. My mom, in short order, gained her voice back. Okay, her shaking from her Parkinson's, there was a combination of a surgery that she had and some other reasons why as well. I'm not going to lie to you, but she, the shaking stopped. She was fine. Okay, we would go in there and visit her all the time and laugh and have fun and do whatever. And she seemed pretty normal. But the thing is she lived by herself and she would, be in a wheelchair and she would get up once in a while to wash dishes or something and she would fall. And so we would go over there all the time to help her when she would, ring us and say, I'm on the ground, I can't get up. And we just did everything we could to help her. And then finally we couldn't, keep up with it. And she was hurting herself. So she broke her hip one time when she fell and she got sick with a disease called, and I'm going to tell you another testimony about her, but she got a disease called, what was it called? ARDS. ARDS is a acronym for Adult Respiratory Disease Syndrome. And they say that 80 to 85% of all patients that get it die from it. And the doctor that was treating her said, this is the worst case I've ever seen or studied. So ARDS is a lung disease. So think about this, a lung disease to where you have basically pneumonia. Okay. And he said she had 95% of her lungs were covered in this pneumonia. She was literally unconscious in a coma in ICU. Okay. So make a long story short, is that she had a broken hip, but while she was laying in bed, before my brother realized that she had a broken hip, she created this ARDS disease. And without going too deep into this thing, when she was in ICU, we started to do some sizzle products in her IV. Okay. And so we did something that was kind of miraculous. I told the doctor, I said, the nurse and the doctor were standing there one night when she was unconscious and when she was, before we put these nutrients into her IV. And we said, look, how long will it take before she's out of ICU or until we can see a change? And this is what the doctor said. He said, you need to go get your family together and put your family affairs in order because she's not going to live. That's what he said. So we tried to do whatever we could. And I came back the next day in the afternoon and I went into the ICU, walked into that room, and there was an empty bed. And I said, what did you do with my mother? And they said, we cannot believe it, but she is down the hall in another hospital room, and she's in therapy now for her broken hip. She'd already had her hip surgery. She'd gotten out of her coma. She got out of her unconsciousness. She got out of ICU in about 24 hours time. And she was in starting her physical therapy stuff. Okay, to where she was putting a little bit of weight on that synthetic rod that was put into her hip. She had a hip replacement. Anyway, so we were given, the nurses in her nursing home were giving her these nutrients, and she started to gain her voice back, and she got her voice back. And then, to our surprise, her voice started to go away again. And so I kind of asked the nurses and whatever, and they said, we're not giving her the Sizzle nutrition anymore. And I said, why? And they said, because of the fact that it was too hard for us and it's beyond our pay scale. I said, what are you talking about? And they said, we would give her the drinks, the Fucoidan or whatever, and she would start to drink it and it would spill on her or whatever. And I said, well, that's why you're supposed to administer it to her. You give it to her. You hold it up there and get her to drink it. Anyway, they said, yeah, that's something that our boss told us it's beyond our pay scale. And
Are you there? Could you hear me?
Hey, if you can mute yourself, that'd be great. We're in a presentation, whoever that was. Kelton, thank you. Anyway, sometimes these things just pop off of mute and you're unmuted and people can hear you. But anyway, this brain vitality, let me go through a couple of other things. So my mom did very well on this with her Parkinson's, but then when they stopped administering it to her, she died when she was 73. But anyway, with that said, it's phenomenal for producing that chemical called dopamine. Okay, in fact, it's so dramatic that they'll take drug-dependent patients that are in rehab and they'll wean them off of their cocaine, because when you start taking cocaine, your brain stops producing dopamine because it doesn't need a euphoric chemical anymore. It's called the happy chemical. It doesn't need to produce dopamine anymore because cocaine has now taken its place when people are addicted to cocaine. So it says just on Wikipedia about citicoline, right about our first ingredient in our product, just on Wikipedia, if you just go look it up, it says that it's been used to wean people off of cocaine because it starts to get the dopamine to produce again in mass amounts. And so you don't need to depend on cocaine for your euphoric feeling anymore. So it's an easy transition to not just drop off of cocaine dramatically to where you're having that dopamine production in your brain. But this has been medically approved to be used for head trauma patients, stroke patients, for neurodegenerative diseases. Okay, who's not muted? Somebody
I'm sorry,
on an
I don't know
iPhone.
how to mute it.
Just push *6 on your iPhone, *6 if you're on an iPhone, or
I'm on an iPhone, and I'm sorry, I'm having
okay,
problems.
then just don't talk. And while you're trying to figure it out, just hover over your
I'm
spot.
not talking. Thank you. It was a cat in the background. Thanks.
Okay, if you can just hover over your name and then click on mute, then
I'm
we'd be
trying to. Thank you, sir.
okay. All right. Okay. There we go. It's one of the reasons why it's hard to record these things. It's just never goes perfect. But anyway, so one last thing is that this, if you're a stroke patient, this can get you back to 100% of where you were before. If you've had a stroke, if you want to prevent strokes, this has been medically approved for stroke patients and to prevent strokes, as well as head trauma patients and neurodegenerative diseases. Let me tell you a couple of examples. I've got a chiropractor that has a mother and a father. The mother has severe Alzheimer's. The father had severe dementia. He was literally taking care of both of his parents at his house. They lived at his house. And he also had a son that had autism. Okay. So he studied the ingredients in this product and he got them on the Triangle of Life, Fucoid and Eternity, and SpectrumX, and the Brain Vitality. 3 different individuals that we're going to see how this product works. Okay, and one of the things is a neurologist looked at the ingredients and studied the studies on the ingredients and the benefits of what these ingredients can do. And he recommended it not only to his autistic patients, the neurologist, but he also offered it to every single person that came through the door, plus their families. He said, this is such a good product from the research that I've done that I'm recommending it to every single person, child even included. Okay. So how that came about, by the way, is a lady in my downline. She had a grandson that was had some issues to where he had to go to a doctor, a neurologist. And by the way, the neurologist office had a neurosurgeon in there as well. So a neurologist and a neurosurgeon, both partners, they both recommended this product to this. They said that there's no problem with this product. Well, as they gave this boy this product, he improved greatly to the point to where they said, we don't need to see you once a week. We only need to see you once a month. Well, then that went to, once every other month. And then that went to once every 6 months. And then they said, we don't need to see you anymore. You're doing so well. So the grandmother told me that this product did wonders for her son. Well, back to the other chiropractor, the one with the mother that had severe dementia, Alzheimer's, and the father had severe dementia, and the son was autistic. They put this product and the Triangle of Life into a daily regimen for these 3 individuals, and it improved all 3 of them dramatically. Dramatically and traumatically, I mean, it was unbelievable. The mother used to sit in the corner all day and look at the ceiling, and that's all she did. After she was on this product for about a week and a half, she started to mumble things, and then a couple of weeks she started to talk, and then she got super sharp and alert to where she was saying to everybody, he said it was actually kind of annoying, but he couldn't believe the difference. She was walking around and she was helping with doing things in the house when they were cooking dinner and stuff, but she was getting on to everybody as well. She was saying, whose socks are in the middle of the room? That's ridiculous. That's not very fun to see somebody's worn socks sitting in the middle of the room. Who didn't do their dishes? All those kind of things. I'll never forget. He just said it was amazing how sharp she was. And he said it was his mother, the chiropractor's mother, and he said she didn't even know who my wife was. So she would say to him once in a while, this is before she got the severity of it when she wasn't talking at all, but when she was getting worse and worse, she would say, who's your girlfriend? She's pretty cute. Introduce me to your girlfriend. It was his wife of, 25 years. But anyway, the point is that at the end, when she was on the Brain Vitality, she got to the point to where she knew everybody's name. She knew everybody's, the history of them all the way back. So she got off of that forgetfulness and all the things that were happening. And now this chiropractor doesn't dramatically build this business, but those people are all still on these products. He spends almost $800 a month on AutoShip still. Okay, for his son, for his mother, for his father, and for himself and his wife, he spends about $800 a month on these products. He's a chiropractor, and one of his favorite products, since we're talking about products, is the Thermarol, the hot cream, and he would relax people's muscles in their neck before he'd crack their necks or whatever, or just to relax muscles where they were all tense and tight and whatnot. He would get to where he would put this cream on every single person, and he was signing up people left and right because they said, where in the world can I get cream like that? Just a really phenomenal cream for your sore muscles and for aches and pains and whatnot is this Thermarol cream. I'm sorry, I just have tons of people texting me. I got to not look at that. Anyway, so we're going to talk now. Let's see, anything else about that Brain Vitality? Anyway, there's so many things that it does for the brain. It's my 3rd favorite product. So I take it every single day without fail because of one reason and one reason only: prevention. Okay, the best way to treat a disease is to never get it in the first place. I want to prevent Parkinson's. I want to prevent Alzheimer's and dementia. I want to prevent anything and everything, forgetfulness, whatever. Oh, one last thing I forgot to say about the Brain Vitality. One of the things that's just a natural occurrence is you have brain cell death. Your brain cells are constantly dying off, and the older we get, the faster they die off. That's just a part of life. That's why we get these neurodegenerative diseases. But this dramatically slows down the brain cell death down. That's just the acetylcholine ingredient. But when you put the other ingredients in it, it almost stops the brain cell death down. So that's called apoptosis of brain cells, or the medical term apoptosis means the death of. So it says that this stops apoptosis of the brain cells. Just look that up on Wikipedia, okay? That's just there. But when you get into the deep science and the studies on the National Institute Library of Medicine, it'll blow your mind what this thing can do, okay? And it's in the right amount of ingredients. One of the things that bothers me about other companies is when they have an ingredient just to put on their bottle because it's been proven to do stuff. Like if you have 60 milligrams of resveratrol in your product and you need 200 milligrams to turn those youth genes back on, that's doing your people a disservice, okay? In fact, I think we're going to go over that right here, okay? Eternity. This product has 450 milligrams of resveratrol in it, and there's a company we were talking about a little earlier today that has 60 milligrams in their product, okay? 60 milligrams is not going to do anything, so you're paying money for nothing. You need 200 milligrams. That's why we give you 450. They say that anything over 500 milligrams and you're not getting any more benefit. So that's why we put it right behind that at 450. So where you're getting the most, almost the most effectiveness, but it's the highest quality. It's the muscadine grape skin extract. We use grape skin extract from the muscadine grape I should say, from France. This other company that I'm talking about uses Japanese knotweed. Seriously, you don't need to go very far to look up these ingredients. Look at behind those ingredients. It says in parentheses what that derivative is. And it's usually in a Latin scientific word. So you need to go look up. It's not hard, people. Go look up the Latin word. What does this mean? It'll say Japanese knotweed. So this company we're talking about and had a conversation about a little earlier, they're using Japanese knotweed at 60 milligrams, the cheap, low-grade stuff, and below the threshold of what you need to turn on those genes. We're using the high-quality stuff, and we're giving you double, 2.5 times more than you need to turn those youth genes back on, okay? We know through the studies how much you need. The other companies know how much they need because they're going to make money with it, but nobody knows. So they don't put the right amounts in there because they're just trying to put the ingredient on the label. By the way, that company used to have 20 milligrams, but when I wrote them a rebuttal letter, they upped it to 60. I mean, it's like pennies worth of ingredient in there, and they're giving you 60. The science is known that you need 200. Okay, this product is nano-sized. It's the smallest size you can get that resveratrol molecule, the smallest particle you can get it, super high absorption. Remember, transmucosal absorption or sublingual absorption in your mouth is 250 times more there than in your stomach. So if you want high absorption, put this drink in your mouth and hold it there for a minute. You're going to get 250 times more absorption. It's going to be absorbed right into your lymphatic system. And guess what? It doesn't matter if after the age of 25 that these genes go dormant. Okay, it says sirtuin, dormant genes in our DNA may be reactivated through and extend life. Okay, that's been proven. Okay, in 2010 with David Sinclair. Go look up David Sinclair studies. He sold those studies to GlaxoSmithKline, a huge pharmaceutical company, for $750 million. Just the studies, not a company, not a product, not an ingredient, but just the studies. Okay, we know how much you need. We know the science behind it. Okay, so when you go with a company that's giving you 60 milligrams, that's a company that's literally ripping off the American public. Our company's giving you the right amount, 450 milligrams of the high-grade stuff. Again, it's nano-size, smallest particle you can get it to for high absorption. You need the 200 milligrams to turn those youth genes back on, no matter if you're 35, 65, 85, 95 years old, it doesn't matter. This will turn those genes back on that go dormant at the age of 25. At the age of 25 is when you start to age. The reason is because these genes go dormant. They shut off like a light switch. Okay, so I take my resveratrol every single day because I don't want my genes to go dormant, and I want to fight for life and be youthful in my older age as I'm getting older. We're all getting older. Okay, but is our DNA and our cells getting older? Well, you can slow that aging down. Remember, I just talked about the brain vitality, slowing the brain cell death down. Okay, that's what our products are all about. Anti-aging, reverse aging. Okay, healing the body through biological activity. So this product is also, like I said, microencapsulated. Those nano-sized particles, the smallest particle you can get it to, are encapsulated in a sheath called myceliation. That myceliation technique protects it from light, heat, and oxygen, from stomach acid damage. The competitor that has 60 milligrams doesn't do anything to protect it. It's damaged by light, heat, and oxygen and stomach acids. And you're only getting 60 milligrams. But how much are you going to get after it's exposed to light, heat, oxygen, and stomach acids? You're not getting much. And it's Japanese knotweed, the low-grade cheap garbage. Okay, so we're giving you microencapsulated protection. It's in a liquid form, which, by the way, no other company can do, because they can do it, but it coagulates in clumps. So you've got a coagulating factor and a clumping factor, where you have it's not evenly distributed throughout that solution. It's just clumped in the dang bottom right over here where the corner is. And that you can have 100 bottles without it in it and one bottle with a little clump in it, because in the 5,500-gallon vat, when we mixed it for MonaV and these other companies, we found that most bottles didn't have it in it. Our owner, I can talk about MonaV because they're out of business now, but our owner would say their resveratrol in their bottle was like chicken in chicken soup. But instead of putting the chicken in the soup, you waved the chicken over the pot of water and called it chicken soup. That's what he used to say. He goes, they literally had no resveratrol in their product, but they called it a resveratrol product. Okay, but like I said, it clumps and coagulates. But when it's microencapsulated, it doesn't recognize each other. Okay, if you put a sheath around, it's like a candy coating around an M&M. I don't have that slide up tonight, but it's like a candy coating around an M&M. The chocolate won't stick to each other because there's a candy coating between the chocolate and the next one. So with this, we have that microencapsulation happening because we accidentally actually discovered we're protecting it from light, heat, and oxygen, but it also allowed it to be not recognize each other, and they wouldn't clump and coagulate together. They wouldn't stick together like plasma does, okay, like sticky cells. They stick to each other, and they, like water droplets. You put a water droplet next to a water droplet, if you get it close enough, all of a sudden they attach to each other. This doesn't do that because they don't recognize each other because of that technology we put into it. So now we can put it into a liquid, and it's evenly distributed throughout that liquid solution. But not only do we have resveratrol in here, we have quercetin, catechins, polyphenols, and a lot of other nutrients that help give it a even bigger ability to do what it's supposed to do. Okay, quercetin is a massive anti-inflammatory. Okay, this is the order of the best anti-inflammatories for the cells, and they say that the inflammation of the cells is the silent killer. There's 2 articles in Time magazine that talk about it, but there's a lot of science out there on it. It says that cellular inflammation is the root cause of most every disease. So if you want to, eliminate disease or the potential of disease, get rid of your cellular inflammation. The number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 ingredients are: number 1, hydrogen, which we're going to talk about a little bit. Number 2, fucoidan. Number 3, resveratrol. Number 4, quercetin, and quercetin is in here in this product, Eternity. So number 3 and 4 are both in this one product. And then number 5, cacao, and cacao is in our SpectraMax product. The other, so in the triangle of life, we have number 2, 3, 4, and 5 best reducers of cellular inflammation in those 3 products. There's a reason why I take them every single day. Okay. So let's see, what about it? Okay, not only is this evenly distributed throughout that solution, but it's actually super saturated. Let me give you a 2 seconds worth of that. Okay, I know I'm getting deep into the science here, but that's kind of what this product night's all about. But what happens when you have a saturation point? So when I was in one of my medical classes, one of my chemistry classes, we had a lab, and we went into the lab and we did a saturation lab. So we take a solution, we put crystal sticks in the solution, they dissolve, and they would, you'd take another crystal stick and it was dissolve. You take another crystal stick and it wouldn't dissolve anymore. Maybe part of it did, but it wouldn't dissolve anymore. And that's because that solution is now saturated. Okay, so then we would chemically alter that solution, and we can start the same solution that just a second ago was saturated. So now we can start putting more crystal sticks in it. And as you put more crystal sticks in it, it is now overly saturated, or the medical term or the scientific term is called supersaturated. It's literally holding more ingredient than normally could be held. Our 3 liquid nutritional products are supersaturated. holding more ingredient in those solutions than normally can be held, evenly distributed. Okay, this is what I mean. Other companies are watered down dilute products. We have super saturation. We have more ingredient in here than normally can be held. Okay, I just sent Jeannie a video, and if anybody else wants it, I finally found it online. I had to search my tail off, but there's a video that I have that shows a company that has a moringa product, and Tom, the owner of our company, is in the lab in his lab coat, and he pours this product through a cheesecloth, and it looks like there's a little tiny diaper stain in it. I mean, it literally looks like this little brown little mark after the water goes all through there, and then there's a little brown mark left over. But he just pours it through the cheesecloth, and it's a watered down dilute product. Moringa is a really good ingredient, but when you get it just a pinch, it's not going to do much. Well, we used to have a moringa product, and we came out with it, and it shows the difference between Sizzle and the other company called Zija. By the way, Zija was failed for so many years, they just got bought out by Isagenix. Okay, but we took their star product, which was this moringa product, poured it through cheesecloth, and then we poured our moringa product through cheesecloth, and you can see the vast difference. A super saturated product with a TDS through the roof. TDS, by the way, is a scientific term for total dissolved solids. Okay, water has about 600 TDS, which is total dissolved solids. And this moringa product had like 800 in it, just a little more than just plain water. Okay, when you do a total dissolved solids on our products, it does, I mean, the thing just, it's off the charts, okay, because it's so full of ingredient, okay, of those materials that we're looking for that get that biological activity. You got to have a couple things. One, a good ingredient. Two, a lot of it or enough of it. And three, it has to be absorbable. So we have the highest absorbing products in the world and the most of those ingredients and the highest quality, highest grade of those ingredients. Okay, so if you want that video, I'll send it to you. We actually stopped making the moringa product. It was a good product, but about one out of every 500 cans would kind of get really big in size because there was yeast that would expand in there. We couldn't kill all the yeast out of it because moringa is susceptible to overheating, and if we overheated it past the threshold of destroying the activity and the nutrient value in that product, when we literally were denaturing it to get the yeast out of it, it was destroying the nutrients. So when we did it behind that threshold and did it under that temperature that would not degrade those nutrients, then we'd have yeast that would grow in about one out of every so many bottles or cans. So we discontinued it because we couldn't offer you a good product. We didn't want to destroy the actives in it, and we couldn't do it under that heat threshold to keep to where we weren't keeping other things out of it. So that's why we discontinued it. So this other company, Zija, was overheating it, so destroying the actives and serving it to you. It has a lot of benefit to it, moringa. I'm not going to lie. It's a good ingredient, has a lot of really great things about it. But to actually serve it to people in masses, where you have to run it through a manufacturing plant and can it, we couldn't do it with honest integrity because, again, I'll just repeat, we couldn't overheat it because we didn't want to destroy the actives, and we couldn't underheat it because that's what we did, and it would grow microbes in there that would not be good. When somebody got a can that was starting to expand a little bit, they go, what's wrong with this can? Is there botulism in there? No, it's just yeast. But we couldn't have that, so we had to discontinue that product. But nonetheless, you can see the video of comparison of why we're vastly different and better than other companies. I'll send that video to anybody that wants it. Okay, so let's move on. I kind of get carried away on details. By the way, I told Jeannie the difference between us and the other companies, especially me, is it's all in the details. Okay, I'm not going to buy into a company and represent and put my name on a low quality, low grade product line that's actually worse for people to take than to take nothing at all. Okay, I'm not going to do that. It's all in the details. I'm super, super detailed. Okay, I'm when it comes to low grade ingredients and perfection, I'm a perfectionist to a fault. And you've got to, you know, when you put your name on something, it better be, you know, darn well the best, or there's nothing at all. And one of the things about me that is very like Tom is we don't sign up to be second best. Okay, he didn't sign up and start building these products to be second best in the world of nutrition, and I didn't join this company to be second best. Okay, so I think a lot alike in that facet with Tom, the owner, this billionaire of our company. And think about that. Why would you represent a company that's second best, third best, fifth best, or just back there in the pack? Why would you want to sell products or educate people on products that's equal to the grocery store brand products? Okay, look on your toothpaste tube. If it says call poison control, that's an average everyday product. When you have coffee that you have to add sugar and cream to it because it's bitter and it's a cheap, low grade Brazilian or Ethiopian coffee that's aerobic, that's everyday coffee, people. We're the best tasting coffee in the world. By the way, if you buy our coffee from Starbucks, which you can't buy our coffee with all the bad things out and the good things in, but if you buy the Panama Bouquet Geisha coffee from Starbucks, it's $130 for a half a pound for 8 ounces. Ours is 12 ounces for like $31 or whatever it is. And we process it in a way with no acrylamides, tannins, alkaloids, acid, and we put the good things in it. Okay, best tasting coffee in the world. We do not sign up to be second best. This is all about the highest quality the world has never seen. Now, just to kind of put that into perspective, there's a statement that is very, very unforgettable to me. When the owner of this company says, I don't necessarily have to be the first out to market with a product, but I do have to be the very, very best. Okay, all these other companies are about making money. We are not. The owner does not take money out of this company. He takes the money that's made and the profits and puts it back into research and development. He does not take a paycheck. The other billionaires of these other companies take a paycheck. It's all about how can I make more money. But let me repeat that statement again. I quote, if you know, I don't necessarily have to be the first out to market with a product. I just have to be the very, very best. Okay. These other companies that have their products third-party manufactured at a neighboring state that does their manufacturing of their products, or they're having products produced in China, that's not a company that takes pride in their product development. Okay, they'll make it look like it's a good product and talk about how good it is, but talk to me on the phone, I'll tell you how it isn't, how it's inferior. But the point is not to put down other companies to make ours look better. The product line is vastly superior, a product line like the world has never seen. Okay, so this Stemolytic product, somebody wanted me to talk about this really quick tonight. It has a natural blood thinner in it, curcumin in it, but it also has ingredients that kill off the senescent cells, which are the toxic stem cells. After they become aged, they become toxic, but they don't want to die and they won't go away. So we kind of have to use a fly swatter to swat them away. That's what this product does. It boosts the immune system using senolytic compounds to get the body to build an immune system that'll kill off and rid the body of those senescent cells, been clinically proven. And then we have ingredients to stimulate stem cell production, which is to build and develop new stem cells. Those baby stem cells that'll produce into young strapling warrior stem cells. Okay, that is what this product is about. It's about producing stem cells, saving people money on stem cell injections and therapy. This is the world's greatest stem cell producing product, and it kills off the senescent toxic stem cells that are aged and become toxic. Okay, that's basically all I want to talk about. That product's our newest product out. But I want to kind of get into this a little bit and not too deep because we're, you know, I kind of am worn out a little bit today. I did another 10 yards of shoveling compost today, this morning, early. That's when my truck delivery was. But guys, when you're in this business, I'm pretty excited today. I've got sitting in my entryway $2 million worth of gold and silver. Took delivery of that today. And I did another wire today of $500,000 for more gold and silver. So guys, if you want to live the life, change your lifestyle with your health, and change your lifestyle with your health. I mean, with your wealth. What did I say? Health and with your wealth. Let me get it straight. Okay. I mean, guys, when you can do whatever you want to do because you're healthy and you have the free time and you can afford to do whatever you want to do, this business will get you there faster than any other company. I'm not telling you can't make it in another company. I'm not telling you that at all. There's no doubt you can. I can go to any company and I could take my stars here, Jenny and Jeannie and Valley and, you know, Tony and my different people that I'm partnered with, and I can take anybody and we can go to another company, we can make money. But how long is it going to take? And are we going to be putting garbage into our bodies, you know, lying to people, promoting the dang product line? And Is that company going to be boring for people to hear? Yes, I've heard of that company before. Or is it going to be a new company that goes out of business like they all do? Statistically speaking, 1 out of 10,000 companies makes it that are new companies. 1 out of 10,000 becomes sustainably profitable. That's from Grimes and Reese, the largest law firm in the world for home-based businesses. Okay, this is not stuff I just pull out of thin air. 1 out of 10,000 companies will become sustainably profitable. In 2007, when we started, 7,600 companies started that same year worldwide. So from January to December in 2007, 7,600 companies started that year. At the end of 2008, 6 of them were still in business. Who wants to go build a downline with a new company only to have it go south on you? Okay, and then you have to go to another company and do it all over again. This is my first time and my last time that I'll ever do this. Okay, Sizzle International will never go away. It's financially the strongest company ever to start. We have no debt. We have a massive, largest manufacturing plant in the world. The owner's a billionaire. There's cash in the bank. We get our checks paid on time. Actually, not, we don't. We get them paid before on time every single time. And there's a dynasty trust protecting this company for 250 years. Well, it can't be sold. It can't be taken public. It can't take on partners. Can't do all these things. Okay, all these other companies are sold, taken public, or they go out of business. Herbalife sold. Okay, Melaleuca was sold. Actually, the guy took it over from the Ball family. That was quite a while ago. So that's okay sometimes if that happens. But the fact of the matter is this can't ever be sold, can't be ever taken public, can't get loaned against, no investors, partners, nothing. It's protected for 250 years for our protection because he wants to protect it for the distributors that built it. We're the ones that are building the darn thing. Okay, so this is protected for us. Okay, but this hydrogen water, let's talk about it really quick. It says right here on just a slide I pulled off, but I mean, if you want to attend a medical symposium that I have recorded, ask me for that and I'll send it to you. But I became medically certified in hydrogen, diatomic molecular hydrogen on a medical certification. You can get a sales certification, you get a management certification, a business owner certification, but the highest one's the medical one. That's the one I went through. You have to get 100% on every test. You can't miss one. Okay, so you have to know what you're talking about before you take a test, and then when you pass all the tests, you get your certification. It takes a long time to get through it. But I attended a lot of courses, I just went muted, didn't I? Anyway, can you hear me, Valley? Put your hand up and give me the, okay, just want to make sure I went muted. Anyway, so in these medical symposiums, you learn a lot about what the science is behind these products. Okay, these medical symposiums weren't even done by our company or anything. This is outside medical research science that we are basing our knowledge of, but we put in over $100 million into the research of water. Sizzle did over 100 million. Companies wouldn't even put 100 million into their 40-year or 35 years worth of being in existence in their whole dang product research, let alone in one product alone. Okay, so this is hydrogen water, not to be confused with alkaline water, but hydrogen water, through these medical symposiums, I learned that this water has been clinically proven or scientifically proven, as it says here, to prevent diseases. Okay, remember what I always say, the best thing about our products is preventing disease. If you have bad health and you have diseases, we'll get your health back. Okay, if you do the protocol and commit yourself and do this month after month, year after year. But I've been doing this for 13 years, these products. I haven't been sick once, not even a sniffle. But the thing is it says here, scientifically proven to prevent diseases. Last symposium I attended, they said there are up over 250 different diseases that they're treating and curing and preventing. Okay, I'll show you some slides of some of those in a minute, but over 250 of the worst things you can think of. Okay, Lou Gehrig's cancer, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, those kind of things, diabetes type 2. Okay, so also this slows aging down by converting the most dangerous hydroxyl radicals, which is a free radical, into water. converts those hydroxyl radicals into water. I'll talk about that in a second here, but let me talk about the selectivity of it. One of the things that's really kind of unique about this molecule, which is the smallest molecule in the world, think about this. This is on the periodic table here, if you guys are on the computer. Hydrogen's in the #1 position. So they pulled it over here and they kind of show why hydrogen is, what all the symbols are in this little square. The atomic number, #1, it's #1 because it's smallest atomic weight. The atomic weight down here says 1.008. Okay. The electrons per shell is 1. The name is hydrogen. The symbol is H for hydrogen, but it's in the first position for a reason, because it's the smallest atomic weight, which means that it can go through glass, it can go through metal, it can go through anything. You can't contain it, you can't harness it. You can create it and make it. But when you do that, it is, if you harness it in the right way, like we do, it takes 20 minutes to create hydrogen infused into our water, and then you drink it. When you drink that hydrogen water, because it's the smallest molecule in the world, it gets into every single cell in the body in less than 2 minutes. Okay. Now what that means is it does a lot to the cells. It gets into every cell, not just half of them, not just the ones it can get to, but it just gets into all of them because it's so small. It can enter everything. But as an antioxidant, it neutralizes free radicals. And it neutralizes free radicals in a very super efficient way, but it's selective. It doesn't neutralize the free radicals that are good for us. And yes, there are good things about oxidation. There is a purpose for oxidation. Okay. I can give you an example of that, but it'd take me too long, so I'm not going to on this call. But there's things that are oxidative that are actually good for our health. And this doesn't harm those or neutralize those, but it does neutralize the hydroxyl radicals, the 2,200 different groups that are dangerous for us, that are killing us. So a hydroxyl radical is literally a free radical that's missing an electron, or it's a molecule that's missing an electron. So it's radical. It's actually hypersensitive. It's moving really quickly and it's just all over. It's wreaking havoc in the body. It's rusting the body. Okay. But what happens is that you have a vitamin C or a beta carotene or a vitamin E or a turmeric or any of these kind of different kind of antioxidants. Okay, let me give you another example. An antioxidant, a really, really good antioxidant, by the way, is oregano, dried oregano. So just so you know, oregano, I put it on everything. Even if I have a hot dog valley, I put oregano, I put sliced tomatoes on the top of the hot dog and I put oregano on top of that, oregano flakes. But oregano, a half a teaspoon of oregano has more antioxidants in it than 3 cups of fresh spinach. Okay, it's a very powerful antioxidant. But even oregano, you take it into the body and you have 2,200 different groups of free radicals, and it neutralizes just a few of those groups. So think of it, 2,200. A vitamin C comes in and neutralizes a few of those 2,200. A vitamin E, a beta carotene, a turmeric, or whatever, they come in and just neutralize just a few of those. The hydrogen water does all of them. And remember, I just told you there's a missing electron in the free radical. So when the vitamin C meets up with the free radical, it literally lends the free radical an electron to neutralize it. But what happens to the vitamin C? It's now missing an electron. Okay, so what happens to that vitamin C is now it's a free radical. And so vitamin E comes along and it lends an electron to the vitamin C, or should I say the vitamin C steals the electron from the vitamin E, and the vitamin E becomes an electron. Well, that's a cascading event that the body has to compensate for. So think about the neutralization process. When you have a vitamin C neutralize a free radical or a hydroxyl radical, it's like tipping over a domino and then boom, 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 a whole bunch of dominoes. The domino effect happens. The body has to greatly compensate for that. And there's a lot of damage effects that happen through that process, but it's a necessity. We have to neutralize those free radicals or we're going to die. But hydrogen, the greatest discovery in health history, neutralizes all those free radicals without a compensating event, without a cascading domino effect happening. What I mean by that is just so you know, diatomic hydrogen or molecular hydrogen is the reason our product is called H2 is because it's 2 parts hydrogen. It's a molecule with 2 hydrogens in it, okay? And what happens is when those 2 hydrogens meet a free radical or a hydroxyl radical that's an oxidant, it becomes H2O. When it becomes H2O, most of you should know what that means. That's water. So it doesn't steal, the hydroxyl radical doesn't steal an electron from the hydrogen. It just neutralizes it by turning it into water. And then the body dispels that water either through your waste, through urination, or through sweat, or it just keeps it as water in the body. And sometimes there's a little, in one of the symposiums I attended, sometimes there's a little bit of negative debris, but that's when our H pill comes in. The H pill comes into effect when there's some debris that's left over. By the way, there's 3 products that do this in mass that dispel the body of debris and unwanted waste. And that is our H pill, the fucoidan, I'm sorry, not the fucoidan, our H pill and the Eternity that I just talked about tonight, the one that has the resveratrol molecule, and the Stimuletics product. What those products does, and the fucoidan does it too, to a degree, but they go into the cells and they get rid of all the debris, the clutter, the glycation, the lipofusion. So one thing, I attended a medical symposium in London, England in 2009 on a weight loss symposium. And we learned there that the body actually is gaining fat cells, whereas previously we didn't believe the human adult can gain fat cells. You only had the fat cells that you gained in your adolescence. So feed your kids good, by the way. It's a good lesson to be learned. If you feed your kids good and they don't get overweight as a kid, they'll have a less of a tendency to gain weight as an adult. Because like I said, it used to be thought of that you gained all your fat cells in your adolescence, and then they were either saturated and completely full as an adult, or they were depleted like a raisin and you were, thin. And you can take the same amount of fat cells and either be fat or get rid of it, but they were always there. Well, now they've proven that you can gain fat cells, that you're actually gaining fat cells as adults, both men and women. It doesn't matter if you're pregnant or not or whatever, you're gaining fat cells to buffer toxins. They used to think the only purpose for fat was stored energy. Now there's a second purpose, buffer toxins. Okay, so that's a new discovery within the last 10, 12 years. They found out that you're gaining fat cells to buffer toxins. Let me give you an example. You drink a Diet Coke or have sucralose in your product, your body can't assimilate it, so it doesn't know what it is. So it puts it into the fat and you gain fat cells to buffer it. It kind of surrounds it and keeps it at bay, and it protects the body from this harmful, unrecognizable ingredient. Sucralose, by the way, is a neurological toxin. Same with aspartame. Synthetic sweeteners, they're a neurological toxin. They are not good for the body, and you're literally gaining weight more than if you just had straight sugar. It's a synthetic sweetener that doesn't have any calories, but again, you're gaining fat cells to buffer that toxin. So when you're buffering toxins and gaining fat cells, remember my friend that was 357 pounds, and he got on our products and he lost 17 pounds in the first 2 weeks. And he said, man, I can't believe I'm not even changing any of my diet, and I'm not even taking any of your weight loss products, and I'm losing weight. Well, the reason is because it was getting rid of the toxins in the fat. And when the fat's getting rid of what's called lipofusion or toxins in the fat, some of that fat doesn't have a purpose anymore. Because remember, there's 2 purposes. One is to store energy, and the other one is to buffer toxins. So when you get rid of fat because you're losing toxins out of the body, all of a sudden, and that our H pill is designed to do that, when you start losing the toxins out of the body, excreting it through your skin, through the lymph nodes, through your waist, whatever, you're going to lose weight because there's no purpose for that fat anymore. It has no reason to buffer something that's not there anymore, so the fat just sloughs off. Those fat cells, by the way, are easy come, easy go. So you get them when there's toxic debris in your body, and they go easy when you get rid of the toxins. When I got on the H pill, I didn't even have any weight to lose, but I lost 11 pounds in about 6 weeks being on the H pill. But at the same time, I was itchy all over my skin, my shoulders, my abdomen, my back. because of the fact that the toxins were excreting through my skin that the H pill was getting the body rid of out of my lipofuscin and glycation. And when you have foreign matter in your skin, just to kind of remind you guys, little, for the older people, remember we used to have antihistamine? Well, when you get a bee sting or a mosquito bite, the mosquito bite's not what causes the itchiness, it's your own body's reaction, histamine reacting and racing to the side of that chemical that the mosquito put into your body, or the poison that the bee put into your body through its stinging you. But when you have that bee sting or that mosquito bite where they put a little bit of a toxin in you, the body reacts by sending histamine to that site to rid the body and keep it at bay, to buffer that, and to rid the body of that foreign object. You can get histamine with a splinter even. If you have a little splinter that gets into your skin, if it festers for a while, histamine will start coming to it and it'll kind of section it off. Okay, well, that's why I had itchiness when I first started taking the H pill, because toxins were excreting through my skin. By the way, the skin's supposed to excrete toxin out and breathe oxygen in. It's a porous organ. Most people don't realize that the skin is an organ. It is the largest organ in the body, by the way. If you take the whole skin, it's the largest organ, even bigger than the liver or the stomach or the heart or whatever. So when you breathe oxygen in and excrete toxins out, that's one way of getting rid of toxins. That's how I reacted. And I had this itchy response for about 3 months. But once that dissipated and went away, I had no toxins in my body anymore. I got rid of all the lipofuscin, the glycation, the debris and clutter in the cells. When you produce the Krebs cycle, I don't know anybody that knows about the Krebs cycle, but the Krebs cycle is where glycogen gets into the muscle stores. The muscle stores reacts to the cells. The cells has what's called mitochondria in it. The mitochondria actually releases ATP, which is an acronym for adenosine triphosphate, which is the release of energy. Okay? But when you release energy, when the body creates energy, even when you just pick up a grocery bag or shut a door, you're releasing, you're creating energy. So the ATP or the Krebs cycle is going through its process. But when you create energy, or the ATP is released, that energy, that adenosine triphosphate, is literally leaving exhaust behind. That exhaust that's left behind is just like starting your car in the garage. Okay, when your body makes amino acids, because remember, there's 8 essential amino acids, and then there's amino acids that that the body actually makes. The 8 essential, this is just some elementary education, but the essential word before essential amino acids means you have to get it from your food. Your body won't make it. An essential polysaccharide means you have to get it from your food. The body doesn't make it. But the other amino acids, your body actually makes. So you can actually your body just makes and synthesizes amino acids. But when an amino acid is built, it's kind of like, let's say that Mark and I went into my garage and we just built a really high quality doghouse. When you're building a doghouse, you're going to be cutting and sanding and, nailing and all this stuff. And when we're done, we're going to have a doghouse built. But what's on the floor? Sawdust, wood chunks, nails, debris. So when an amino acid is built, you're going to have sawdust and nails and debris and wood pieces in the cell as well. So, I'm being facetious about it, but at the same time, there is debris left over. There is clutter left over when things are being created and made in the body. And our H pill, the anti-glycation extreme product, gets rid of the glycation and the lipofuscin and the clutter and the garbage that's left over, the exhaust, those things that's literally dilapidating the cells and getting them to work at less of their highest efficiency. So think about that. If you're getting older and you're feeling sluggish, lack of energy, it's not that you don't have to have a Diet Coke with a caffeine shot. Just get rid of the clutter in your cells and get those cells to operate at their optimal condition. By the way, the Eternity product, and as well as a few of our other products, hydrogen as well, repairs mitochondria, where that Krebs cycle begins and ends, where that ATP is created. Okay, so that's something that's very important. If you get ATP to fire off like it's supposed to be and be super efficient, we have a couple of things going on here. We have more energy in our older years. Okay, I used to be run down all day long. I used to want to take a nap. I would try to force myself not to, and sometimes I just couldn't handle it anymore, be falling asleep at my desk. Well, since I've been on the Sizzle products, number one, I sleep better because, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a second. But number two, I'm getting better efficiency out of my cells, so I don't ever get tired in the day. But there's two reasons. One, I'm sleeping better, and I don't have the clutter in my cells that are slowing my cells down. It's kind of like trying to run in water. Okay, if you want to run and run fast, get on a sidewalk and go. But if you're in water, it's very difficult. That's what our cells are going through. Clutter and debris. Okay, let me talk about that. Fucoidan, when I sleep, when you sleep, what are you doing? You're actually regenerating the cells. And think of regenerating the cells like recharging batteries. When you're sleeping, you're recharging your batteries. And guess what Fucoidan does very, very efficiently at a clip of 200% better than your body can do it? It is regenerating the cells. So when I go to bed at night, I take the Fucoidan right before I go to bed, because that's when you're regenerating your cells, and the Fucoidan helps it do it 200% more than normal. So it gives me better sleep, and it gives me better awareness and better alertness and more energy while I'm awake. Okay, because I just regenerated my cells better than normal people. Okay, so again, this hydrogen is the smallest molecule in the world. It can get into every cell in less than 2 minutes. It regenerates the cells, just like the Fucoidan, in a different way though. It reduces inflammation. It balances the pH to be at 7.365, which is the optimal place that your pH should be. If you drink Diet Coke or Coke, believe me, you're going to be on the acid side. Let me just explain that pH balance. It's 0 to 14, and 7's neutral. Anything on the left side of 7 is acid. Anything on the right side of 7 is alkaline. And these water alkaline machines will not take you to be alkaline. Okay, let me just tell you, the hydrogen water does, but the alkaline water, that's actually called alkaline water because there's alkalinity in it. You can drink 10,000 liters of alkaline water. You can buy alkaline water at 9.5, 8.5 at Costco. People are drinking it because it's a new fad. It's actually bad for you, just to tell you. Sorry to break your bubble, but alkaline water, you can drink 10,000 liters of alkaline water, and it'll do less to change your pH to be more alkaline than a half a teaspoon of baking soda. Okay, so you're wasting your money on very expensive water or on a machine that makes alkaline water. So this is not about alkaline water, but it's about hydrogen water. It gets your body to create an alkaline environment that is conducive of a healthy body, which is at 7.365, slightly alkaline. But if you drink Diet Coke, well, let me put it this way. If you drink Coke, it's at 2.1. The lower the number, the higher the acid level. So at 7, it's neutral. At 6, it's more acid. At 5, it's even more acid. At 3, you're really, really acidic. Think about this. Coke is at 2.1. Very, very acidic. It's the worst thing you can put into your body to create your body to be more acid. The only thing worse than that, and I just told you that's the worst thing that you can put into your body. This was exactly how they told me at a medical symposium I attended with a room full of doctors. They said the worst thing that makes your body more acid than anything else is Coca-Cola or carbonated drink. So it doesn't matter if it's Coca-Cola or Sprite or 7-Up or Mountain Dew or anything else. It's just the carbonation, and it takes you to a 2.1 on the acid level on the pH scale. So they said the only thing worse than that, and I thought, how can anything be worse when they just said that's the worst thing? Well, the only thing worse than that is Diet Coke, Diet Mountain Dew, Diet whatever, if they even have such a thing as Diet Mountain Dew. I don't even drink those kind of things. Every once in a while I'll have a root beer because I love that, but that's like once every 6 months. But Diet Coke takes you to 1.5. And just to put that into perspective, battery acid that's super dangerous for you is at 1. Okay, so Diet Coke is so highly acidic and makes your body to be more highly acidic than anything on the face of the planet. People are literally killing themselves drinking Diet Coke. It's that bad for you. In fact, I have an article that says the 5 worst things that we normally put into our body: tobacco, alcohol, trans fat, carbonation, which is what I was just talking about, and prescription drugs used correctly. Think about that. prescription drugs, medical prescriptions prescribed by a doctor that is supposed to help you is the #2 killer in the United States. I already mentioned that once. So I'm not even talking about people that are abusing drugs, but products, medical prescriptions that are used correctly is the #2 killer in the United States. That's one of the worst things we can put into our body on this article. Tobacco, alcohol, trans fat, carbonation, and prescription drugs used correctly. And I completely agree with it. Okay, so let's move on. By the way, hydrogen, like I said, it prevents and benefits you greatly on over 250 diseases that they're finding every single week. Here's a few of them: cardiovascular disease, Alzheimer's, influenza, that's the flu, pneumonia, cerebrovascular diseases, respiratory diseases right here, chronic lower respiratory diseases. Okay, there's a gal on here named Barbara on tonight. We had a conversation today about nebulizing. There's somebody that has the coronavirus and their daughter just got it, and they have a nebulizer to help get things into the lungs. And I don't know much about this, so I'm going to be speaking without experience or knowledge, but you can put the hydrogen water in this nebulizer and breathe in the hydrogen water into the lungs. Remember, I just told you earlier that you can get all the hydrogen goes into every single cell in less than 2 minutes. So it's getting into the lungs as well. It's getting into the liver, the heart, the brain, everything, the capillary beds, the nerve endings. So it's getting into every single cell in the body, including the lungs, and it starts to heal those cells. So look at this: chronic lower respiratory diseases. Drink this. We have Mark that's going to start snorting our mouth rinse into his lungs because he's got a respiratory infection right now. We've had people with black mold infection, do it as well and have unbelievable results. But that's where the coronavirus kills you. When it gets into the stomach, it'll die from the stomach acids, but when it gets into the lungs, it'll kill you. Okay, so we need to get hydrogen into the lungs through drinking the water, breathing it through a nebulizer if you want to figure that out, and even snorting. Basically, you can snort the hydrogen water up into your nasal cavity, but the thing that's worked really, really well that kills, remember, viruses, bacteria, E. coli, Salmonella, Giardia, mold on contact 100% is our Terminator mouth rinse. So people have used it to cure acne and to kill bacteria on their face with a cotton ball. So think about these things that I'm telling you. Okay, so you can get this hydrogen and our stuff into your lungs, and it starts to heal the cells there. Look at this: chronic lower respiratory diseases. Okay, I'm not going to read every single one of them, but here's some more. Okay, this is a kind of a goofy looking picture. I don't like it, but it's the best thing I can find in the short amount of time I looked. Parkinson's disease, it's what my mom died of. Alzheimer's disease, that's the brain, the eyes, the lungs, the auditory, the heart, other things, intestines, the liver, okay, the pancreas and metabolism, the kidneys, the brain. Think about all the things that this thing heals. It's the greatest discovery in health history. And just to tell you why ours is better than anybody else's, a medical therapeutic dose is a 0.5 part per million, and they can't get more than 1 to 3 parts per million in any given time. But we did, because remember, the owner of our company doesn't ever sign up to be second best. He doesn't have to be the first out to market with a product, but he has to be the very, very best. We have 18 to 23 parts per million actually measured in the lab. 18 to 23 parts per million. And by the way, you can't overdose on this. It is completely safe. It's the medical term inert. That's actually a chemical term as well. Inert means that it's not damaging or there's no side effects to it, nothing that it can harm you with it. So inert means it's very, very safe. Okay. I got another thing that this does that I never mentioned is that if you are taking nutrients, this will increase the efficaciousness of those ingredients by 10 times. If you have cancer and you're taking a cancer drug, it'll make that cancer drug more, more efficient by 10 times. It's not like taking 10 times more of that drug, because if that was going to work better, we would just do that. It's actually like having it be more efficient by 10 times. So nutrients, drugs, anything that you're doing and taking and you're trying to fix something, hydrogen water will get it into the areas that it's needed to get into faster and better than any other thing that'll help it. It's like an aid. It's aiding and abetting those nutrients to get into the cells way easier and better than if you weren't to have hydrogen. So guess what? I take my amino acids, my Sizzle Ripped with my H2. I put it right in the same bottle and mix it at the same time. I mix my Sizzle Ripped and the hydrogen water at the same time and drink it both together. It's giving me, that's why never mind. I was going to make a joke, but it's not time for joking. Let's move on. There's so much more the hydrogen water does. I just don't want to get into scientific stuff and have you guys nod off because you're so bored. But this is our protein product, the best protein in the world. Everybody else just has generic protein. In whey protein, you have 1,200 components, and in the 1,200 components, over half of those components are bad for you. So why would you want to? I always used to, when I used to do medical seminars, I used to be hired from companies and go do medical seminars where I teach people about nutrition. It's just basically a nutrition class. And at the end of the day, I'd say, okay, let's open it up for questions and answers. And there's always, it seems, somebody would raise their hand. What about whey? And my answer was no way. No W-H-E-Y and no W-A-Y, both ways, no way. Because there's bad components in whey. Lactose, fat, pus, blood, herbicides, pesticides, antibiotics. I mean, and that's just the things that you guys recognize. Then you can go into the science, the deep science of all the bad components in whey. It's just ridiculous. Okay. So when you get protein, you're getting 1,200 components. Half of them are decent for you and half of them are bad for you. Then there's fillers in there. Then they denature the whey. When they pasteurize it, they denature it. Okay, anything over 110 degrees denatures the proteins and destroys a lot of the actives. So what do we do to solve that issue? Well, we create the world's best permeable membrane filtration system. It's an reverse osmosis permeable membrane filtration system where we use pressure to push the protein through these membranes. And when we push the protein through these membranes, it literally is taking out the bad components. And we have two buckets at the end of the permeable membration filtration system. One bucket has peptides and polypeptides in it. The other bucket has mineral proteins in it. We're the only company in the world that I know of. Well, there's no company that I highly doubt any company has the wherewithal and the money to create the machine that we did to do what we're doing. But we process all of our own products and make them ourselves. We don't outsource anything. So, and we've had companies say, well, you build us your protein and we'll put a private label on it. Nope. We make other people's proteins, but they buy a protein from a supplier and we just stick it in a bottle and put a label on it and ship it back to them. No other company gets to use our machine to create the world's best protein. Peptides, polypeptides, mineral proteins is all it is. We put some calcium caseinates in it and some fiber, and there you go. Some nutrients are involved in it. No sugar added, no sucralose or synthetic sweeteners in it. It's the world's most effective protein product. No denaturing it, because remember I said at 110 degrees, it denatures the proteins and destroys some of the actives, not all of them, but some of them. All the other companies process their protein at 180 to 300 degrees. Trust me, I've been a formulator. I know what people are doing behind the scenes. I see what they're doing. I'm going, are you kidding me? You're bringing it up to 300 degrees? Yeah, nobody knows. They're buying our protein. It's got a pretty picture on the front of it, on the packaging. Nobody knows. This is protein that is building muscle, burning fat. It's not denatured or destroyed actives because we do it at 90 degrees, and we slough off the volatiles that we don't want. The purest protein, best protein in the world. There's a lot of difference. Remember, we don't sign up to be second best. We don't necessarily have to be the first protein out to market with a product, with a protein product. We just have to be the very, very best. That's our philosophy. Okay, if we can't do that, we're not going to build it. Here's our Sizzle Ripped product. It's a post-workout product that builds lean muscle tissue and burns fat. It's an amino acid product. Okay, if you compete, you want to be an athlete, you want to, run faster, lift more weights, get more cut, take this product into your regimen. Okay, we've got people that are professional athletes in basketball, in football, professional athletes that movies were made after. Okay, I've got a guy in my downline that was a star in the show. what was it called? Blindside. Okay. We've got football players. We've got baseball players. I've got professional athletes, racers, whatever you want to call it. We've got Olympians on our product. Let me just show you what my wife did with this, because this person asked me to do this tonight, specifically for another person. We have test results here on a body composition test. I'm going to go through this pretty quick, but my wife in her late 50s did nothing different, didn't work out more, didn't eat different, just started taking this product. We tested her right when she started taking this product, and she had a 20.5 body fat percentage. Okay, that's normal for a woman. It's not great. It's not bad, but it's 20.5. In 1 month of being on the Sizzle Ripped, her body fat percentage went down to 17. Into this product 2 months later, it went to 14.1. So she was at 20.5 on her body fat percentage, went to 17 and then 14.1. Now my wife is equal to where I was on my first test, because guys naturally have less body fat percentage than women. But when you go from a 20.5 to 17 in 1 month to 2 months at 14.1, doing nothing different than taking this product, this shows that this product builds lean muscle tissue and burns fat. Okay, so look at my wife's lean muscle tissue went from 48.1 on her first test to 49.8 to 50.5. So she went up on her lean body mass and went down on her body fat percentage. That's what you're supposed to do. But here's the key number: her visceral fat. Visceral fat is the dangerous fat in and around the organs. And visceral fat is on this scale, 10 is normal. Anything higher than that, you need to see we need to talk. That's bad. Anything lower than 10 is good. Well, my wife's first test was 4. We were actually surprised how good that was, because they said in London, England, at my medical symposium, that people that were thin, they measured 350 people that were not overweight, and they were 10 to 20 times more on their visceral fat than normal. Now, visceral fat is the dangerous fat in and around your organs. It excretes chemicals in the organs that make your organs not perform the way they should. So an example is there's a chemical excreted into the liver that inhibits the ability for the liver to clean insulin. Okay, that's what happens when you have visceral fat. And remember, people that are thin have 10 to 20 times more than is normal. So my wife, normal's 10, she was at a 4. So we're pretty happy about that. But 1 month being on the product of this Sizzle Ripped product, she went to a 3. And then 1 month again later, so 2 months being on the product, she went to a 2. And by the way, at the health food store where we got these body composition tests done, they said nobody had ever tested it as a 2 in the history that they've ever been testing people, ever. They said, what in the world are you doing? So she started out pretty good to begin with, 4 to a 3 to a 2, but you can see the progress. If you want progress, getting rid of visceral fat, lowering your body fat percentage from 20.5 to 17 to 14.1, in 2 months, she took off 6.5 percentage points of her body fat percentage. And she went up 2.5%, almost 2.5% on her lean muscle tissue, doing nothing different. Let's move on. That's just a kind of that's proof on my wife, something that's very close to me, of how great these products work. Okay, this is a product. If anybody wants a text of a picture of a woman and a picture of our Fire and Ice Tea, it's a really good little thing you can send out to people. It's a text. Text me and I'll send you a picture. Tony sent me this today, my business partner. But anyway, we have a really nice little picture to kind of tempt people with the Sizzle Fire and Ice Tea. But if you want to burn fat, this is one of the best products to do it. It creates thermal heat in your body, thermogenic heat in your body. The reason is because it's burning calories. You could be sitting there watching a TV movie on your couch, and this will heat your body up because it's burning calories. This is our Fire and Ice Tea product, okay? And I'll send you a picture. We got to get done here pretty quick. We're just kind of killing time here. But TSX is our product that the technology won the Nobel Prize for Medicine in 2009. This heals the DNA. Okay, we have the best product in the world for this. I told you I was going to go over this for a second yesterday. But there's a product called TA65. We had it independently graded, and it came out with an A+ grade. I've even been talking about my competition here, and it came out with an A+ grade. There's another company that had another product with a different ingredient, and it got an A grade. One of the products, the TA65, had a product called Astragalus, and the other product the competition had Bacopa. So what we did is we did the same thing that TA65 did, and we did a single molecule extraction out of the astragalus. It takes 6,000 pounds of astragalus root to get 2 pounds of astragalosides, because it's a single molecule extraction process. So we're sloughing off of 6,000 pounds, whatever the minus 2 pounds of that is. We're getting rid of all that material that we don't want, and we're getting just 2 pounds of material that we want. It's called astragalosides. We put 10 times more than TA65 has in their product. And then the other product that had Bacopa in it, we created Bacobicides, which is a single molecule extraction, and we put in 12 times more ingredient than they had in their product, and then we put those two together. So we have astragalosides that TA65 has, 10 times the amount of that company, 12 times the more Bacobicides that the other company had of Bacopa, and we put them together. So now it's like that company and our company on steroids. Okay, now we're giving you 12 times and 10 times the amount of astragaloside single molecule extraction into this TSX product. This product's been clinically shown to heal the DNA. It won the Nobel Prize, people. You don't win the Nobel Prize for a gimmicky technology. Okay, so this is age reversal of the DNA, repairing the end caps of the chromosomes, and that is called the telomeres. The telomeres, by creating a telomerase enzyme, heals the telomere fragmentation and damage, and it starts to heal the DNA. And so what happens with that is your age starts to go backwards. Okay, we had a guy that was 93 years old. I had dinner with him, and he showed me his two tests. One test after a year and a half of taking the Triangle of Life, his DNA was equivalent to the age of a 69-year-old, and that's when he was 91 and a half. When he was 93, when he was 91 and a half, he started taking TSX in conjunction with his Triangle of Life, and he retested through SpectraCell Laboratories in Texas with a DNA test. This is accurate, guys, to the 1 kabillionth. I mean, it's ridiculously accurate. This is not, some health practitioner saying you look younger today. This is DNA testing, and that DNA test came back at the age of his 93rd year, when he's 93 years old, actually in his 94th year when he's 93 years old, and it came back as equivalent. His DNA was equivalent to a 45-year-old. He'd been on our Triangle of Life for 3 years, and he was on the TSX for 1.5 years. And I saw the test results from SpectraCell Laboratories with his DNA tests. Okay, he went from 69 years old DNA age to 45. That's half his age. Now that's just aging your DNA. Okay, so it's not aging your looks or anything like that, obviously. But let's move on from that. I was going to talk about, well, that's the presentation.